What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the brother Aaron for showing love with the donations to the channel via the PayPal. And I saw your video request, and I will do that video either tomorrow or Thursday. Got a couple other video requests I got to knock out, so saw your video request is a good topic. I did a video on Thursday. All right, probably Thursday, either late Wednesday or Thursday. All right, so former President Donald Trump, who's running for the presidency, made his return to X with an interview with the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk, two billionaires talking shop. And it was more of a conversation than an interview. I didn't look at the whole thing. I didn't. I looked at about 40 minutes of it, and then I kind of had to check out. Okay. But I got a good list of some of the things he was talking about. The interview has registered 1 billion views so far. 1 billion. I believe this is the first interview, if you want to call it that, to ever register such a number. And that's not being talked about on social media. You know, I'm going to tell you something. Well, I shouldn't say social media. That is being talked about. The mainstream news media. I have to say this. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Kamala Harris supporter. But just from observing from the sidelines and looking at the action, that's how I want to describe how I'm looking at things. I'm like a spectator looking at the action. Some people are on this team and some people are on, okay, I'll put it like this. Some people who are subscribed to me are on Team Trump. Some people subscribe to me, they're on Team Kamala. I look at myself as a spectator in the crowd looking at the action. Okay, I'm not considering voting for either one of these candidates. But having said that, because I'm looking at things as a spectator, I'm not particularly rooting for any particular candidate. I'm just enjoying the action. I see things that other people may not see because I'm objective. If you're for Harris, Kamala, you're going to see what you see as perceived slights, but things that you that may be seen as a bit unfair to Trump, you're not going to see that. Vice versa. I have to say, in my 44 years on this planet, in my 36 years of studying politics, since I was 8 years old, I used to peruse my brother's 12th grade history and geography book. Love history, fell in love with history after that. And all of the elections that I can recall following since I was 12, because I was really too young to really remember the 88 election. I have never seen an election cycle where the mainstream media has been so shamelessly in the bag for one candidate. At least they used to pretend to be objective with Clinton and with Gore and with Kerry. But with Obama, we started seeing a shift. I'm not saying you're supposed to support Trump, but my goodness, man, they're not even crediting the fact that this video, that their interview got 1 billion views. They're talking about how horrible Trump sounds, how he is obviously in cognitive decline. Look, I've already talked about how I have some concerns about Trump in that area, but Listening to that interview, he sounds like Trump. Now, the interview the other day in that press conference, I was seeing some little things I didn't like. But for the most part, he sounds like Donald Trump. But see, this is the hypocrisy of the media. They conveniently ignored the obvious decay that's going on in Joe Biden's brain, the age rot. We could clearly see it, but they ignored it. Remember when we was making videos about this? I was making videos about it. LB was making videos about it from time to time. 78 Town Biz would touch on it, and we would say, "Oh, y'all know what y'all talking about." Everybody saw it for themselves on June 27th. Now all of a sudden, the Democrats who didn't really have a democratic process, they call themselves Democrats, but they didn't have a democratic process with the primaries. At least Trump did have to compete against Nikki Haley. So Biden was their nominee, but because they didn't like how he performed in that debate, they just dropped him, forced him. Well, we're going to lose, so we need to change candidates. Get out of the way, and let's try this one, and then let's commit this super fraud that all of a sudden a woman who only had a 29% approval rating for much of last year as VP, now all of a sudden she's a female Obama. Now, I'm not saying that praising Trump, but fair is fair. It's BS. You got some ignorant mobs on here. Oh, look at him showing his true colors. I knew he was a Republican trying to pull on that charade. Dudes will never get it, man. Never get it. They don't know what the word objective means. They don't. Or being objective, I should say. But I got to say something, though. Trump screwed up in this debate, man. He screwed up. Look, he said some things that made me bug my eyes out a little bit, in shock. Building a dome over the. Did I hear him say build a dome over the United States like they did Israel for the threat of nuclear? Some things aren't practical, but I do agree with what he's talking about as far as the border. I do agree with Elon Musk in that we do need to secure our borders. We had this conversation, and see, this is the thing. What I think is going on, and people got to remember this, we're a full 23 years removed next month from 9/11. So we have had an entire generation that have grown up. They were little babies. Some of them weren't even born yet. They're not old enough to vote. They don't remember 9/11. See, I'm older. Not old. Still pretty goddamn young in my opinion. And I look 10 years younger than my age. So I've been told. But I'm old enough to remember 9/11. But more importantly, I'm old enough to remember the 90s. And I remember Bob Dornan. I think his name is Bob Dorn. Dornan, that was what it was. Bob Dornan. He was a congressman from California, Southern California. Because Southern California was always very conservative. He was Republican. I think he served in the Korean War, if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think he was old enough to serve. Did he serve in the Korean War or was it Vietnam? One of the two. He always used to go on CNN and he used to hammer away at how Americans were not taking border security serious enough. We had this false sense of security that, our borders are secure. Nothing can happen to us in America. The 1993 Trade Center bombing was a precursor to what happened on 9/11. Then when 9/11 happened, that's when foreign policy became important. That's the event that transformed Bush's presidency from one that was really lacking in direction at that point to cloaking him with an aura of near invincibility. I remember Bush in 2000, 2001, 2002. As unpopular as Bush is right now, if there was an election held in November 2001, Bush would have carried all 50 states. That's how popular Bush was in the fall of 2001. And then he blew it by leading us into a war that had nothing to do with 9/11, only with his grudge against Saddam Hussein for trying to kill his pappy back in 93. But Bush held grudges, by the way. He ran against Ann Richards in 94, partially because he was sore at her for the statement that she made about his father at the 1988 Democratic Convention. You know, if you look it up, poor George, he can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth. And just ragging on Bush and ragging on Quayle. And I mean, just going deep. And, you know, I think Bush had his eyes set on her as far as toppling her. And he did that in 94. And she was favored to win that race at first. But anyway, I digress a bit. Another thing that Trump said that screwed him up was, you know, Elon Musk is known as a guy that will fire your ass without a moment's notice. Trump, of course, had The Apprentice, where he fired people, right? So they got into a conversation about firing people and how good they were at being butchers when it came to that aspect. So there was a point in the debate. Trump went off about how great it is to fire people, referring to Elon as one of the best firers, or as he put it, cutters of all time. He said, quote, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, look at what you do. You walk in, you just say, you want to quit? They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone. Now, he was talking about, I believe, the United Auto Workers Union. And they protect manufacturing workers at major car companies. They filed a federal complaint against both Musk and Trump. Why is that? Because it is illegal to fire workers or threaten to fire them for striking, which is what Trump basically threatened or said that that he should do and what workers should do. So I don't know. You think Trump would know that? You think Trump would know the federal labor laws? But it is what it is. I mean, maybe he wasn't talking about United Auto Workers, but whatever the case may be, they're filing a federal complaint against both of them. Look, Elon Musk and Trump are now friendly. I think Elon Musk supported Biden 4 years ago. But Elon Musk, who used to be very popular, remember years ago, the media loved him when he was perceived as a leftist. But over the last several years, Elon Musk has moved discernibly or concertably to the right. And I think he contributes to Trump's campaign. According to here, he contributes $45 million a month to a super PAC to Donald Trump. So Trump's going to kiss his ass. These are two billionaires. Let's see something. Elon Musk net worth fluctuates daily. Elon Musk is worth, it's probably over $200 billion. His net worth is $227 billion. Donald Trump's net worth has soared in the last few years. A couple of years ago, his net worth was around 2.9 billion. I don't know if Trump is even on this list. Is he on this list? George Soros is 6.5 billion. Let me see something. Donald Trump, who's the wealthiest president of all time, surpassing George Washington, whose net worth in today's dollars, I think, would have been around 600 million. Donald Trump is worth $4.9 billion as of August 11th, 2024. A lot of these guys have their wealth tied up in stock, so there's a little bit of a fluctuation with their net worth. Yeah. George Washington's net worth in 2020 would be estimated in today's dollars 594 million. So I would imagine today it'll be over $600 million. So, you know, that's matter of fact, no, $700 million if he was alive today. But anyway, just want to do a little video talking about this. I'm going to tell you something. As I said before, don't be fooled by these media reports that this election is over. It's not. It's not over. Kamala may be in a favorable position, but don't forget Hillary Clinton for much of the 2016 campaign was quote unquote in a favorable position. Oftentimes what happens, and this is why the media is so stupid. A lot of times when you have these lopsided elections, or even though this one isn't lopsided, when you have a situation where one candidate is perceived to be like the easy shoe-in victor, on election day, oftentimes they underperform. To a certain extent, they underperform. Clinton in 96 underperformed on election day. He won and won handily, but he didn't match what his poll numbers showed. He was supposed to beat Bob Dole by like 10 points in the popular vote. There were 400 electoral votes, and he got 379 and won the popular vote by about 8 points. He did not win by the margin that was expected. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the easy winner over over Donald Trump, and that didn't happen because to a certain extent, she wasn't a very inspiring candidate, especially when you look at she was in the shadow of Barack Obama. But there was complacency. People say, "Oh well, it doesn't matter. She's going to win anyway." Trump's supporters were going to go out. They're going to go out there. The same thing's going to happen this year. They're going to go out there and vote. Kamala is relying a lot on young people. And young people, historically, more often than not, will disappoint you. They did go out there for Barack Obama. They did come out for pretty much for Joe Biden. But that was, I think, fueled a lot by anger against Trump rather than they were so fervently behind Biden. But a lot of times, man, you know, people get these big crowds and, you know, all this online chatter. People think they're going to win these big victories, and then that doesn't happen. John Kerry was supposed to beat Bush in 2004. Why? Because supposedly he was dominating Bush in the youth vote. And as we saw we saw the exit polling and numbers came back, they weren't coming out. They were bullshit. They weren't coming out and voting for this guy. You know, so that's something to watch for, man. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.